Whatever the adventure, there's a BMW engineered to take it on. The X3 delivers a striking design with agile performance. The 100% electric i4 packed with pure electric energy. Or the plug-in hybrid X5, an impressive, versatile SUV granting full control on every journey. Choose what powers your next adventure during the BMW Road Home Sales Event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Hurry in for exceptional offers through January 2nd. Visit bmwusa.com for details.
Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now, for your host, Kimberly McLemore.
All right, good evening, and welcome to WSBI, your Resource for Success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring entrepreneurs and women-owned businesses from across the country. I am your host, Kimberly McLemore, and welcome to a special edition of tonight's show. With us, we have Adam Mendler. Adam Mendler is the CEO of the Veloz Group, where he co-founded and oversees ventures across a wide variety of industries. Beverly Hills Chairs, the leading seller of refurbished Herman Miller Aeron chairs in the country. Custom Tobacco, a one-of-a-kind e-commerce platform where customers can create fully customized, private label cigars in real time, and Veloz Solutions, a technology consulting and software development practice. Adam is also a nationally acclaimed thought leader, writer, and speaker on topics including leadership, entrepreneurship, and management. Adam is the creator and host of the podcast 30-Minute Mentors, where each week he goes one-on-one with one of the most successful people in the country on how they got to the top and how listeners can too. So without further ado, help me welcome to my platform, Adam Mendler. Hey, Adam, how are you this evening?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here with you and with your audience.
Well, I'm excited to have you on. We talked a little bit before we got started, so I can't wait, as I said earlier, for you to drop some of these great golden nuggets on our listeners and tell your story and what you do for other people. But before we dive into all that, so why don't you just tell the listeners a little bit more about who Adam Mendler is beyond and besides the businessman?
Oh, man. I know that we only have 30 minutes to chat, so we could spend hours and hours on that topic.
Well, if it's juicy, if it's good, I may let you do more, okay?
Wow. Well, I mean, I only blocked out 30 minutes. I've got a lot going on today. You said good evening, but I'm actually dialing in from Los Angeles, so
okay.
It's still the afternoon here. It's sunny and really hot today, so I guess a little bit of information for your audience. I'm an LA native, born and raised here in sunny Southern California. I grew up in a suburb of LA called Tarzana. And the street I grew up on is a street called Veloz Avenue. And when we started the Veloz Group, my brother and I named the company after Veloz Avenue. Mm-hmm. And Veloz was really instrumental to my development. After my time on Veloz, I went to USC, University of Southern California, had a great 4 years there, and left LA for the first time to take a job on Wall Street. I worked for what was then the largest hedge fund in the world, a company called D.E. Shaw, right after college, and worked there for a couple of years and came back to LA. Got my MBA at UCLA and worked a little bit in the entertainment industry. Went back into finance, and then in my late 20s, left the corporate world altogether and started the Veloz Group, and the rest is history. Been at it ever since. Have started a few different businesses and do a bunch of other things, writing, speaking, have the podcast, and It's been quite a ride.
Well, it sounds like it. And I love how you came up with the name of the company off of a name from a street. That's pretty interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great concept.
It was more than a street. It was really a foundational part of, I mean, look, when you grow up in a place like Tarzana, and for listeners who haven't been to Tarzana, it's just a great place to grow up. Really family oriented. I grew up in a small community within a really large city. had great friends and just grew up around really high quality people. And the lessons that I learned from my parents, that I learned from my parents' friends, that I learned from my friends, have been what I've taken with me all these years and that I try to apply in my professional life and in my personal life today.
Wow. Well, that sounds juicy. So it sounds very good. And I want to dive more into that because you sound so sincere about everything that you learned growing up and in the community. And a lot of times, not everybody's so lucky to be in a community where you have that much influence. And usually our influences aren't always that positive. So growing up in the community you have, and obviously, like I said, you've taken that on with you throughout the years and everything that you've done. What else have you done to bring back to the community because of those things that you have learned?
Well, I've tried to do a number of different things, but the most recent thing that I've been focused on has been 30-Minute Mentors. And for listeners who have yet to tune into 30-Minute Mentors, that's my podcast. And once a week, I go one-on-one with one of the most successful people in the country on how they got to the top, and more importantly, on how listeners can get to the top in 30 minutes. So the concept is I've tried to bring together the most successful people in America and have really tried to make accessible to audiences, the best network of mentors possible, so that anyone tuning in, no matter where they are on their journeys, whether you're a college student or whether you're in your first job out of college, or maybe you didn't go to college, or you could be an experienced entrepreneur, you could be a really successful CEO. No matter where you are, you always need to learn more. One of the most interesting insights that I've learned from all these interviews that I've done is that even the most successful people in the country are continually focused on learning, on growing, on continuing to develop their skill set. And lifelong learning is critical to success in any kind of endeavor, particularly in the field of leadership, which is what I'm really focused on. And through 30-Minute Mentors, my goal is to give audiences access to people who have been there, people who have authority, people who have achieved unbelievable things across all kinds of fields. And there's no charge. You don't have to pay money to listen to these guys or women, or not. You don't have to buy a ticket. You just listen, subscribe, and learn.
Yeah, you can't beat that. And you're right. You don't have to pay to realize that there's so many people out there who have such knowledge that they can share with you for free. And that's really what I think a lot of our podcast shows are about, is truly getting the information out there and making people understand that we're very human and that no matter where we are on our journey, we're here to share those resources and understanding that what it takes to be successful is that continual learning. And, what you're doing is phenomenal, that you can reach out to some of the top people in the world and in our country to share that information for free.
Whatever the adventure, there's a BMW engineered to take it on. The X3 delivers a striking design with agile performance. The 100% electric i4 packed with pure electric energy. Or the plug-in hybrid X5, an impressive, versatile SUV granting full control on every journey. Choose what powers your next adventure during the BMW Road Home Sales Event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Hurry in for exceptional offers through January 2nd. Visit BMWUSA.com for details.
The most wonderful time of the year. Although, let's be honest, around the holidays, things really add up. But here's the good news. Only at Verizon, you can get a single line for $50 per month when you switch and bring your phone. So while ice skating for two is definitely costing more, here at Verizon, you can save. Gifts for your third cousins? Steep. A single line with Verizon? Not so steep. A real tree? Pricey. A single line with Verizon? Less pricey. Flights to see Mima and Pops? Those are up. A $50 per month single line? That's down. Even a trip to the Atlanta Holiday Market will cost you more. But with Verizon, you can switch and bring your phone for just $50 per month for a single line on unlimited welcome, with autopay plus taxes and fees. All this to say, during the holiday season, when everything is costing more, you can get more for less right now at a local Verizon store. $15 monthly promo credits applied over 36 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G, 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply.
It's not, it's hard sometimes to get people to get on the shows, or most people don't want to pay anymore, to be on the shows because there's so many opportunities to share this information. So what you're doing, I love, because, being a podcaster, obviously, I'm kind of partial, and I think that's the most important part about being in business is being able to share the experience, show the expertise that you have so that other people can learn from that expertise. But what I want to ask you is that obviously, like I said, you come from a great background. You were very lucky to be in a community where you were learning from other people. But what else inspired you to step out of that comfort zone and go for your own and do the things that you've accomplished?
It's a really good question. And I ask a similar question to a lot of guests I have on my podcast, which is, how do you push your comfort zone? How do you get out of your comfort zone? How do you have the comfort to be willing to try different kinds of things? Mm-hmm. And the way that I look at it is, it starts with having a mindset that has no fear of failure. And if you're afraid of failure, if you're afraid of making mistakes, you're never going to get out of your comfort zone, because you're going to be too afraid to ever try to do anything different, ever try to do anything that might make you look bad because you might fail. And I can tell you that probably the biggest risk I've taken in my life was leaving the corporate path and starting the Veloz Group. Mm-hmm. And when I started the Veloz Group, I had confidence in myself. I had confidence that whatever I did, I would figure out a way to make it work. But I didn't have arrogance, and I knew that there was probably a decent chance that it could fail and that things wouldn't work out. But I had the mindset that even if I failed, so what? What's the big deal? Who cares? Mm-hmm. If things went poorly, if things didn't work, I would be able to learn from it. It would be an experience that would allow me to grow and allow me to become stronger and better. So even if I wasn't a successful entrepreneur, I would be able to use that experience, and it would help me become more successful as a human being and ultimately more successful in business. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important that no matter what you try to do, you approach it with the mindset that, yeah, there's a chance things might not work out, but if they don't work out, so what? Failure can actually be a good thing. And in a lot of the interviews I do, when I talk to people who are exponentially more successful than I am, and we really dive into the topic of failure, sometimes you'll hear the perspective from some of my guests that failure is a critical component to attaining success. Whether you're talking to a venture capitalist who talks about how you need to taste failure in order to understand how to get to the top, or whether you're talking to someone in the entertainment industry who understands that you hear 99 no's before you hear the one yes. Mm-hmm. And you need to be able to weather the no's to be able to get to the point where you can get to that yes. So that's where I would start on the question of how to push your comfort zone.
Right. And I agree with what you're saying when it comes to the failures. I think that people become more appreciative of what they learned when they do fail, because they know that, okay, I've got to do this differently. I got to do that differently. And you can learn from those mistakes. Some people do, some people don't. But when you do, I think you have a better appreciation of what it means to truly be in business and not take it so much for granted. Because I think when we all come in business, the goal is that we believe everybody wants what we have, and that we can give it to everybody. And obviously it's true. There are a lot of people who want what we have, but you have to figure that out. So when you've been in business as many years as you've been in, and you've made the accomplishments you have, and you do a lot of overseeing of ventures that you've done, a variety of business forwards that I read off earlier from your bio. So talk about that process, and what does that mean when you're talking about overseeing ventures with these businesses? What is it that you do for them?
Well, There are a couple different things. So at the Veloz Group, we run different businesses that we've started. So the three businesses that we run through the Veloz Group are businesses that we ourselves have started and have grown and continue to manage. So we have a company called Beverly Hills Chairs, which you mentioned. We're the leading sellers in the country of refurbished brand name office chairs. So if you want to buy a Herman Miller Aeron chair, which normally would cost $1,400 brand new, you could buy it from Beverly Hills Chairs for half of that. Our company, Custom Tobacco, one-of-a-kind e-commerce platform where you can create fully customized private label cigars, really popular for gift givers and for event planners. Surprisingly, our core customer is actually female, maybe not even a cigar smoker, but someone who understands and appreciates that this is something that a cigar smoker in their life, whether it's their husband, their boyfriend, their dad, their client, their boss, would enjoy. And they'll buy it as a gift or they'll buy it for an event. And then our software development company, Veloz Solutions, we build custom software for innovative companies. And what I do for each of those businesses varies on a day-to-day basis, but I'm involved really at overseeing the businesses, ensuring that they continue to run and grow. In some cases, I am quite hands-on and do get pretty involved operationally. I'm not the CEO of any of those businesses. We've gotten them each to a point where other people run them on a day-to-day basis, but I am involved in really trying to grow them and ensure that they continue to enjoy greater and greater success. I advise other companies on a wide variety of topics, typically around leadership and growth. I'll often work with different executives and I'll work with entrepreneurs, but also work with middle market companies. And whether it's me coming in and doing a talk to a team of managers or whether it's me doing a one-on-one session with a CEO or senior executive, I enjoy just going in and providing whatever insights I can to help others become their best selves and empower anyone else within their organization to become their best selves. At the end of the day, it's all about growing, developing, and inspiring better leaders.
Exactly. So I want to ask about leadership. And we all know that the things that we see today, leadership has become a huge topic in how people are leading, whether good or bad. What advice do you give to your leaders when you talk to them, when you're consulting about leadership and how important it is when you're running a company?
Yeah, I mean, I know we only have about...
This holiday, BMW has reunited three members of the family at the BMW Road Home Sales event. The Agile X3, engineered for any adventure. The plug-in hybrid X5, commanding the streets with unmatched presence. And the all-electric i4, charging into the future with impeccable performance. Hurry in to find what powers your journey at the BMW Road Home Sales event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Visit the Valley BMW Center today for attractive lease and finance offers.
The most wonderful time of the year. Although, let's be honest, around the holidays, things really add up. But here's the good news. Only at Verizon, you can get a single line for $50 per month when you switch and bring your phone. So while ice skating for two is definitely costing more, here at Verizon, you can save. Gifts for your third cousins? Steep. A single line with Verizon? Not so steep. A real tree? Pricey. A single line with Verizon? Less pricey. Flights to see Mima and Pops? Those are up. A $50 per month single line? That's down. Even a trip to the Atlanta Holiday Market will cost you more. But with Verizon, you can switch and bring your phone for just $50 per month for a single line on unlimited welcome, with autopay plus taxes and fees. All this to say, during the holiday season, when everything is costing more, you can get more for less right now at a local Verizon store. $15 monthly promo credits applied over 36 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G, 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply.
10 or 15 minutes left in this conversation. We could probably spend 10 or 15 hours on this topic, but maybe even 10 or 15 weeks on this topic.
Yeah.
but I'm actually teaching a class this fall at UCLA on leadership, a graduate level class, and it's a 10-week class. So I'll try to condense it into the next couple of minutes. But a few key points. And number one is, I think it's really important for leaders to understand that leadership today is a little bit different than leadership was yesterday. Mm-hmm. And it starts with understanding who your workforce is, because leadership isn't about me, it's about you. Leadership is about empowering those around you to become their best selves. Leadership is about taking 1 + 1 and turning it into 3. Leadership is about thinking through each of the stakeholders within your organization and understanding how you can make each and every one of them better. And how do you do that? How do you help everyone on your team ultimately take that next step? Well, the first step is having that mindset, having the mindset that it's about service, having the mindset that you're there to make a difference in the lives of others. That's really important. I think it's also important to understand that before you can become a great leader, you need to really understand yourself. You need to get on that leadership journey, and it's a journey of self-discovery. And oftentimes leaders will get into a position where they're given enormous responsibility without really thinking through what they're good at, what they're great at, how to most effectively execute upon what they ultimately need to do, and getting on that leadership journey, understanding your strengths, understanding your weaknesses, and ultimately creating an infrastructure so that you're spending your time and you're leading in a way where you're playing to your strengths is critical to succeeding as a leader. Mm-hmm. A couple of other things just to add in there. The job of a leader ultimately is to set the vision, communicate it, and to do that, you need to be truthful, you need to be transparent, you need to be communicative, you need to be trustworthy. These are things that are important no matter when you're leading. I think that particularly right now, we're in perilous times, and mm-hmm. people will ask. I've been on a number of podcasts and radio interviews, and people will ask, well, what do leaders need to know in a time of crisis? What is important for leaders to do and implement in times like these? And I'll dive into it, but it's important to recognize that the same principles for leading in a time of crisis are applicable at all times. So no matter when you're leading, you need to follow best practices, and those are a few of them.
Right. And I like that the fact that basically what you're saying in a nutshell is that no matter what level of leadership you're on, you need to follow those practices. You need to be in the right mindset and realize that it's not about you leading. It's about, like you said, allowing the other people to shine and know how to implement those people within your organization or whatever it is that you're doing to ensure that's what real leadership is about. And we see a lot of that doesn't happen in certain companies or just within small entities. And even when you're trying to run your own business and you realize that you can be the leader of yourself, but you can't be the leader of everything. You have to learn to disperse and realize how that you can't do it all. And when you understand that mindset, it becomes much easier to grow in your business, and it becomes much more successful in that way, is understanding how to implement other people and realize that their talents are just as effective and important for the business itself. So, having that topic of conversation on leadership, it just seems that the whole world we live in today is lacking some of the things that you just talked about, because, everybody wants to be number one, and that's not really what it's about when it comes to leadership. So just want to talk to you a little bit more.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Leadership isn't, I was just going to add, your point, leadership isn't about doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
On the contrary, leadership is about empowering and inspiring and equipping others
Exactly.
around you to be able to be in a place where they can do things. So I think it's really important as a leader to try to, I don't want to say do as little as possible, but be able to do as little as possible so that you're not the person that has to do everything. I can tell you that in my organization, my goal is to try to hire and train and grow and develop people on my team so that they can be the ones who are helping build these businesses, and I can be in a place where I can really help guide them. But ultimately, if I'm the one who has to do all the work, we're going to be extremely limited.
Exactly. But I also believe that there are some people, when they hear the word leadership, it becomes a title for them. It's like you get an opportunity to be a supervisor that, at a certain level. To use as an example, people sometimes can take that word to a whole different perspective and not understanding. Yes, you obviously have something there that you're given that responsibility, but that responsibility means that when you're supervising, like you said, it's about empowering other people around you to ensure that all those tasks or all the things that need to be done are being done correctly because you believe in each other in order to get things accomplished. And that's a part of leadership that you've been talking about all evening here in the last few minutes. So I think that's important, that sometimes people don't know how to separate the two when they finally realize that, oh, I'm leading something, and so here I am. And then that's when things can get out of hand because they're not really understanding that it's not about that type of power that you believe that you may have because you have a title. And we see so much of the world that we live in is all about titles and leadership and doing it certain ways. And the conversation we're having is almost the complete opposite if you're looking at it in the right perspective.
Yeah, and I can tell you as an entrepreneur, titles are pretty meaningless when you run small businesses. Mm-hmm. When you run a company that has 3 people, who cares what your title is? When you run a company that has 10 people, who cares what your title is? Or 15 people, who cares what your title is? So it's important to take that mindset and extend it, because when you're running a company that has 10,000 people or 100,000 people, why would you no longer have that same ethos, which is no matter what title you have, your title shouldn't dictate how you ultimately act, behave, and lead. And too often, to your point, people are put in managerial positions because perhaps they've excelled or have done a quality enough job in their role, and they get promoted, and you do a serviceable job, and the next step on the chain is you're now a manager. So, okay, great. You now have 3 people working under you, and if it's a really big company and you don't screw up, your next job could be you have 20 people under you, and then 40 or 60 or whatever. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a great leader or a good leader or a competent leader. And you need to learn at some point, some place along the way, you need to learn how to lead. You need to learn how to really help people become their best selves, because if you're just continually pushing it along the path of mediocrity or worse, you're going to be having mediocre results, and who wants that?
That's right. Exactly. So let me ask, so, you have these amazing ventures that you've been a part of since the beginning. So do you have anything new that you're going to be bringing out or opening up as a business?
Always working on new ideas, always working on new projects, always working on new things. So stay tuned, hang tight.
So we'll get the drum roll pretty soon.
Yeah. Always working on new products, and yeah.
Well, that's part of being successful continually, right?
Always trying to innovate, right? Always trying to make things happen.
Absolutely. All right, just a couple more questions. So I always ask my guests when they come on is that I'm sure that you always have somebody ask, what does it mean to be in business and how do you start a business? What advice would you give them?
What advice would I give to someone who is starting
a business? Mm-hmm.
Well, the first piece of advice is if you want to start a business, I would ask you, why do you want to start a business? And make sure you have a really good answer, because I think too often people want to start businesses because they are attracted to whatever their perception of being an entrepreneur is, which 9 times out of 10 is wrong. Being an entrepreneur is a lot less glamorous than most people think it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot different than most people think it is. It's a lot harder than most people think it is. So I think it's really important to ask yourself, why am I doing this? If you're doing it because you have an idea that you believe in so strongly that you can't not do it, you have an idea that drives you so deeply that you want to work as many hours as you can on it and want to give up whatever it is that you have to give up to work on it, then you know that it's time for you to start a business. If you are doing it because you don't like your job, you might want to try to find a different job.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that's actually good advice. When you say it that way, because a lot of people do leave in the business, get out of the work world to go into the business world because they hate their job. But I never hear anybody say, well, go find another job first before you make that final decision to think that, is that really what the problem is? Or is it really, do you want to open up a business? So that's definitely some good advice to think about. So, for those who are listening this evening, I hope you have learned something from Mr. Mendler. He has definitely dropped some amazing golden nuggets tonight on the show. But Adam, before you leave, could you tell the listeners where they could get a hold of you if they want to reach out and do business with you, or if they want to follow what you do, and then, of course, listen to your 30-Minute Mentors podcast?
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to be on the show, and really enjoyed it. This was a really fun conversation. Anyone interested in connecting or learning more can find me pretty easily. It's just my name, Adam Mendler. So you can find me at adammendler.com. You can find me on social media at Adam Mendler. So that's at Adam Mendler on Instagram, at Adam Mendler on Twitter. My podcast, 30-Minute Mentors, is all spelled out. And you can find it at 30minutementors.com or on any major podcasting app, whatever app you're listening to this podcast on. Assuming you're listening to this as a podcast, I know that we're also rolling live on radio, but 30-Minute Mentors will be 30-Minute Mentors is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and just about every other podcasting platform. So really hope that anyone interested tunes in and hopefully subscribes and hopefully enjoys.
All right. Well, again, I thank you for coming on my show tonight. It's been exciting, and I definitely learned a lot myself, as usual. And like I said, for everyone else, if you're interested in learning more about Adam Mendler and his organizations that he's a part of, you know how to reach out to him. Very simple. His name, it says it all. So you can learn and obviously listen to the podcast and support him with that and become a subscriber. And as for us, we're here every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And we are on many other media audio platforms such as iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, Google, I mean, you name it, we're there. So you should be able to find your Resource for Success podcast anywhere. And also, if you don't feel like listening to those apps, just download our new mobile app on Google Play and to hear all of our past and, of course, today's, this evening's show. But again, I'd like to say thank you for all coming on and tuning in. And I also want to say thank you for those who supported our event last Saturday, for our Purple and Pink Throwback fundraiser event for domestic violence for breast cancer awareness awareness. We had an amazing event for those who are still interested in wanting to donate to the cause throughout the month of October. You can go to my Facebook page at WSBILC, or you can go to the website at www.wsbilc.com, and you can continue to donate all throughout the month of October so that we can continue to raise funds for the two recipients that we have been raising money for since last week and throughout the month of September. But again, I appreciate you all coming on, and we will see you next Thursday at 7 p.m. Good night.
Good night, everyone. We will be back next Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Follow us on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com/user/WSBI. View our new WSBI website anytime at www.wsbillc.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram.
This holiday, BMW has reunited three members of the family at the BMW Road Home Sales event. The Agile X3, engineered for any adventure. The plug-in hybrid X5, commanding the streets with unmatched presence. And the all-electric i4, charging into the future with impeccable performance. Hurry in to find what powers your journey at the BMW Road Home Sales event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Visit Valley BMW Center today for attractive lease and finance offers.
The most wonderful time of the year. Although, let's be honest, around the holidays, things really add up. But here's the good news. Only at Verizon, you can get a single line for $50 per month when you switch and bring your phone. So while ice skating for two is definitely costing more, here at Verizon, you can save. Gifts for your third cousins? Steep. A single line with Verizon? Not so steep. A real tree? Pricey. A single line with Verizon? Less pricey. Flights to see Mima and Pops? Those are up. A $50 per month single line? That's down. Even a trip to the Atlanta holiday market will cost you more. But with Verizon, you can switch and bring your phone for just $50 per month for a single line on unlimited welcome, with autopay plus taxes and fees. All this to say, during the holiday season, when everything is costing more, you can get more for less right now at a local Verizon store. $15 monthly promo credits applied over 36 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G, 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply.